Thank you, Avinash. Here's what's happening in the region. Trinidad and Tobago's Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith has called on the judiciary to play its role in the fight against crime as public pressure mounts on his charges to catch repeat offenders and ensure they remain behind bars. Griffith's statement came hours after the controversial Bail Amendment Act became law, giving police part of the legal framework they need to lock away known firearm offenders for up to 4 months at a time. The Trinidad Guardian reported that the police commissioner previously argued that the legislation will be a critical tool in the fight against crime, particularly against firearm offenders. Gang violence has been blamed for the majority of the 320 murders committed this year in Trinidad and Tobago, and the killing of 24 people in 1 week last month sparked a public outcry for the police, politicians, and citizens to find an immediate solution. The Guardian reported that illegal guns have been used in 8 out of every 10 murders committed so far this year, and gang warfare has been linked to a third of the 300 plus killings this year. Those are two areas police will be focusing on. The government of Jamaica and the Republic of Kenya on Monday signed agreements to facilitate closer bilateral relations, the Office of the Prime Minister is reporting. The Observer reported that Prime Minister Andrew Holness welcomed the signing of 3 memoranda of understanding between Jamaica and Kenya in the areas of sports, culture and heritage, political consultation and tourism. The Prime Minister made the announcements during a joint press conference with President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, after the signing of the agreements. Holness stated that he and President Kenyatta agreed that improving trade in goods and services, increasing investments, and facilitating the movement of people was focal during their bilateral discussions. President Kenyatta was in Jamaica for a 3-day state visit from the 5th to 7th of August as a special guest for Jamaica's 57th independence anniversary celebrations. The Kenyan president and his delegation left the island Wednesday morning. Armed robbers have stolen commemorative gold coins worth more than $2 million from Mexico's mint. The BBC reported that 2 men threatened guards at a branch of Casa de Moneda in Mexico City before grabbing more than 15,000 coins from a vault. They fled on motorcycles before police arrived. No one was injured. The gold coins, known as centenarios, were first minted in 1921 to mark Mexico's independence from Spain. According to Mexican media, the same Casa de Moneda branch was broken into last year during renovations. In the latest robbery, the 2 men, one carrying a firearm, burst into the branch on Tuesday morning. Police said they had overpowered a guard, seizing his gun, before one of the robbers headed straight to the vault, which was open. Investigators suspect some employees of the mint could have been involved in the raid, the BBC reported. Internationally, U.S. President Donald Trump met in Ohio on Wednesday with victims and first responders from one of last weekend's 2 deadly mass shootings that shocked the country, even as critics and protesters accused him of inflaming tensions with anti-immigrant and racially charged rhetoric. Reuters reported that Trump visited Miami Valley Hospital in Dayton, Ohio, where the victims were treated after 9 people and the suspect were killed in a rampage early on Sunday. Crowds of protesters outside the hospital set up a baby Trump blimp balloon, chanted "Do something," and held signs reading "Hate not welcome here, stop this terror," and "You are why." Later in the day, Trump visited the Texas city of El Paso on the border with Mexico, where 22 people were killed at a Walmart store on Saturday by a 21-year-old man who had posted an anti-immigrant manifesto online. Female parliamentarians have walked out of Kenya's parliament in solidarity with a colleague who was ordered to leave because she had taken her baby. According to the BBC, Zulika Hassan said she had brought her 5-month-old baby with her to work because of a domestic emergency and that parliament didn't have a nursery. According to the House rules, strangers are not allowed into the chamber, children included. Some of her male colleagues described her actions as shameful. The Speaker ordered Ms. Hassan out of the chamber and said that she could return without the baby. Some parliamentarians shouted and others started shoving each other. Ms. Hassan called on Parliament to create a more family-friendly atmosphere Ms. Hassan called on Parliament to create a more family friendly atmosphere if it wanted more women to become parliamentarians. According to the BBC, in 2017, Kenyan lawmakers passed a bill compelling employers to construct special rooms where mothers could breastfeed and change their babies. However, Parliament still doesn't have a facility in the main building. Pakistan has announced plans to expel India's top diplomat and suspend trade with its neighbor, deepening a row between the countries over the disputed territory of Kashmir. Indian administered Kashmir has been on lockdown since the Indian government decided on Monday to strip the region of its special constitutional status. The BBC reported that phone networks and the internet have been cut off since Sunday evening. Tens of thousands of troops have been patrolling the streets. Instances of protests and stone throwing have been reported despite the communications blackout and a curfew. Kashmiris in other parts of the country said that they were unable to get through to their families. Local leaders have also been detained. India and Pakistan, both nuclear-armed states, have fought two wars over Kashmir, most recently clashing in a series of aerial attacks over the territory in February. And that brings us to the end of regional and international headlines. Back to you, Avinash.